Hey guys, in this video we're making a beautiful wire beaded bracelet. This is a really simple design. We've used two different colours of gemstone beads and smaller silver beads for this beautiful design. For our bracelet we're using 6mm amethyst and aquamarine beads and 4mm silver beads. We're also using a 10mm clasp and two 5mm jump rings. Now the wire we're using for this design is a 24 gauge silver wire and we need about 50 centimeters in length. Now starting our bracelet, we place the ends of our wire together and follow it back down to the other end, making a gentle bend in the wire. Now we're making a loop up this end and we want it to be quite a small loop. So I find placing something inside that's quite small and round helps us to get a nice small loop in our wire there. Just working gently with your wire until you're happy with that little loop there. Now we can start to straighten out our wires a little bit and we're going to place one of our jump rings onto one of the wires. Bringing it right up the end and into that little loop that we made. Now to sort of hold that loop in place on the end, the first bead we're going to place on is one of our smaller silver beads. So placing that onto both wires and bringing it up close to our loop. Now we want this loop to be quite small, so I just bring it in a little bit smaller gently with my pliers there. So it's a nice tidy loop on the end of our bracelet. We still want that jump ring to have some movement, but we want that loop to be small so it's nice and tidy. Now onto the beaded part of our design. This is so simple. So we just place one coloured bead onto each wire. So I've got those beautiful purple amethyst beads and then the blue aquamarine beads, one on each wire. And then again another silver bead which goes onto both wires. Bringing them up to the other end, and that's one full stitch. And now we're back to the coloured beads. So one colour goes onto each wire. And then one silver bead goes onto both wires. Bringing all your beads up to the other end and making sure those wires are coming through straight. So you can pull that tension onto the end. And now we just repeat this same stitch. So one coloured bead onto each wire. Bringing them down. And then one of our silver beads onto both wires. So it's up to you as you go how tight or loose you have these beads apart. You'll start to get an idea as you go how far apart you'd like them. You can try spacing them out a little bit further if you want. Just make sure your wires are coming through nice and even. Now we just continue on repeating that same stitch. One coloured bead on each wire and then the silver one on both. Now I'm going to bead down to about 18 centimeters. And then when we've put the clasp on, that'll bring the bracelet to about 19 or 19.5 centimeters. So just bead down to about 1 centimeter shorter than what you want your total bracelet length to be. Now, once you've beaded down to your desired length, you want to just double check that everything is spaced out how you want it. Make sure all your beads are sitting nicely and those wires are nice and straight as well. I'm also finishing the bracelet the same way I started on the other end with the silver bead. Now we're going to make a little loop on the end of our bracelet to secure our wire. Now coming in with our round nose pliers, we grab it just next to the bead there and push that wire backwards to form a bend. Now grabbing just above the bend with our pliers and bringing that wire around the round nose pliers and across the wire. That forms a loop on the end. Now we just keep bringing these wires around in between the bead and the loop. Nice and tidy. Bringing them both around a couple of times, nice and tight and tidy, to secure that loop in place. Once you're happy with that loop, then we can cut our tails off nice and short and crimp the ends in tight so there's no sharp edges. Now you should have a secure little loop on the end with your wire wrapped neatly around. Now we grab that last jump ring and with 2 sets of pliers, twisting one up and one down to open the jump ring. Now placing our clasp onto the jump ring and then the end loop on our bracelet as well. Then we can do up our jump ring, twisting back the opposite way to secure it in place. So that should be your beautiful finished bracelet. You should be able to gently bend it around and secure that clasp onto the jump ring. So there's your simple wire beaded bracelet.